And
survive. That's just what we do. Tom, we've got to keep moving so we don't die.
I can get behind you. What's your plan? Don't die. Okay, understood, but beyond that.
Don't die.
Don't die isn't the plan. It's the general demand of living.
You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
like Rakim, we are back again. That's right. And we've got a plan. We're getting lucky. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is Survivor, Joe Blow Football Show. I'm Jamie G. Esquire V, and he is Magnum Mills. Mills, if I know one thing, it is that, holy fuck, Batman, we had a shitload of upsets last week, more than both you and I thought. I'd like to just run through these with our for our viewers. Let's start right off in Thursday night when the Ravens traveled into Miami. Mills, what surprised you on this one?
It really didn't surprise me that the Ravens played poorly. It surprised me that the Dolphins played well enough to win that game and do so in a fairly convincing fashion. I'm not sure that they ever trailed, and I don't think they ever trailed. It was a little bit humid. You saw players cramping up quite a bit, but it just really does look like that the Dolphins are still playing hard for what it's worth, and the Ravens' problems on the offensive line are very real. Jackson is trying, but he's not at that level yet where he can just overcome everything. Without a real running game, it's been fine for the attack of the 2016 Pro Bowl, but it's not good enough to sustain itself on its own. It's just that good because they're worried about Lamar Jackson running. It does seem that is from a Survivor standpoint, I'm going to be very nervous to use the Ravens going forward. The only good news is I don't see another spot where I'm really going to be running to use them. Maybe someone gets hurt or something, but I think they're a team I'm just going to, if I have them left, stay away from for now. And on the flip side, the Dolphins, I'm not going to be actively attacking them like maybe I was a little bit before. It's not like I'm going to, I'm not going to use this team because they're playing the Dolphins, but I am going to give them more respect than fuck the Dolphins that was a couple weeks ago.
And it's just remarkable how the pendulum swings. It really is a week-to-week league, and we saw that this past weekend in Dallas. The Dallas Cowboys absolutely crushed the Atlanta Falcons 43-3. I mean, a total ass whooping. Now, this makes me feel a little bit better about using the Cowboys going forward, especially because they did this without their all-pro left tackle Tyron Smith. That's a big injury. They overcame it. You didn't even notice it. Now, on the other side, this causes a little bit of concern for me with maybe going forward with Atlanta at any point in the future. I mean, they had the upset 2 weeks ago against the Saints, and now after this one, they're kind of back on the downside for me. What else for you, Mills, this past weekend?
I'll make this a little bit of a twofer. And we'll just get out of the way. The Detroit Lions managed to tie the Pittsburgh Steelers. I did actually have the Steelers, like I said, I had them locked into one of the big leagues I'm left in. And the news about Roethlisberger hitting the COVID list happened Saturday night, and I swapped my pick to the Colts. Going forward, I'll say you can still probably go against the Lions, but just be aware they're going to win one pretty soon here. Steelers, I'm staying away from until further notice. And then I switched to the Colts, who looked like they were going to roll the Jaguars pretty good early on. Jonathan Taylor had like 6 carries for 72 yards or something ridiculous. It was all happening. And then in the end, the Jaguars legitimately had a chance to win that game. And, the Colts scared the shit out of me, and they're a team that we're going to find ourselves wanting to use in their future matchup with the Jaguars, with the Texans. So they're going to be one that when you do use them, I think you're going to have to, kind of hold your nose and just pray a little bit.
White-knuckling, baby. Well, my Buffalo Bills got right this past weekend when they absolutely trounced the New York Jets 45-17. I mean, I feel pretty good about using the Bills when they're favored by a touchdown or so. And that, I think, will happen a couple more times this season. And we can kind of tuck the Jets back into that auto pick tier. I think the Jet rule, as much as Jay the Money Sarge may hate it, I think that's still here for us. Now, a big shocker happened in Tampa Bay, right? The Buccaneers came out of their bye week. They traveled up to Washington on a cold, windy day, and I think they I think they drank too much Heineken. What about you, Mills? They get a little bit ham-boned on the Heinies because the football team came off the bye of their own, and they came out swinging like Lou Bega knocked out the defending champs 29-19 in a game that they never trailed in. I mean, this was pretty impressive. I mean, the Bucks, well, as you like to put it, not great, Bob. Their defense was absolutely atrocious. They just kept giving up first down after first down after first down. Now, we noticed this last week during our Survivor segment, they've got 4 or 5 good opportunities to use them going forward. So, I think there is still a good play here. But man, on the other side of the ball, the football team showed some moxie, and it's doubtful that you'll ever be comfortable using them again. But, still, that was a major upset. What's another upset that happened for you this weekend?
Well, I mean, the obvious one here is the number 1 seed in the NFC, the only team in the league with 1 loss. Arizona Cardinals got housed at home by PJ Walker and the Panthers. Walker played the majority of the snaps at quarterback, except for a couple of times that, some guy named Cam Newton came in and he's very excited to score a touchdown.
Just 3 days ago, McCaffrey split out wide to the right. Newton takes the snap, and he is in for a Panthers touchdown.
The Panthers rolled him, man. Colt McCoy played bad, then got hurt. They're saying he can play this week if he needs to. But again, it just shows that the Cardinals just aren't good enough to win on a continual basis without some of their best players. Chase Edmonds also out, JJ Watt. So that makes them every other team in the league who is going to struggle without some of their best players. But for now, I obviously don't think you want to use them at Seattle this week. They're going into a bye. Reevaluate them after that point when they get everyone back. And the Panthers, I don't think I'm going to be running to pick them, but next time they play the Falcons, I'm certainly going to be interested. You know what I mean? Like they're back in a little bit different here because they do have a good defense, a healthy Christian McCaffrey, and I think either Cam Newton or PJ Walker gives them a lot more quarterback than we're getting from Sam Bradford Arnold.
Oh, yes, he does. Now, your Philadelphia Eagles, look, man, tune into the Joe Blow football show, bet it, bank it, blow it, because there's a couple of casual beers that will be drank as Mills won this bet here. His Philadelphia Eagles, they were 2 to 3 point underdog traveling to Mile High to face the Broncos, and they won to say they covered is an understatement, right? I mean, they won 30-13 in a game where, you guessed it, they also never trailed at any point. I mean, this puts both the Eagles and Broncos into the tier of teams that you don't feel great about using or picking against, which I hate because those are the most difficult bitches of the bunch. And there seems to be a growing amount of those as we go through the 2021 NFL season. Mills, lastly, the Kansas City Chiefs traveled into Vegas, the old Sin City, baby, and they picked up the dice and they kept throwing them bones, just shaking them down the runway there. I mean, when the dust settled, they pretty much crushed the Raiders. What was it, 41-14? This game looked like it might have been a little bit closer until a big-time fumble on Deshaun Jackson's first ball.
From the 43. Carr stepping up, keeps his eyes downfield, throws, caught, 20-yard line. Deshaun Jackson, then he loses the ball at the 14-yard line. So he makes his first catch as a Raider.
And it just broke the game wide open for the Chiefs there. With back-to-back losses, hard to really trust the Raiders and my boy Pistachio right now. Chiefs are on the come up, bro. They got a tough schedule here, so I still don't know that you're going to get to use them too many times here. It's going to be tough to find a bunch of spots for them for the rest of the season.
Yeah, the one that'll probably stand out ultimately is their game at home against these same Raiders. So we'll see how these teams are faring when they face off in a few weeks.
Absolutely. So to recap, I think we feel better about Dallas, the Carolina Panthers, Washington football team. Mills, who do we feel significantly worse about?
I'd say we feel significantly worse about, from a Survivor standpoint going forward, the Baltimore Ravens, the Atlanta Falcons, and the Las Vegas Raiders. Now
that we talked about what happened last week, let's check out our report card from week 10 to see how we did with our pick last week. And Mills, I'm just going to go ahead and knock this little bit of dirt off my shoulders, baby, because I had a pretty nice day at the office.
Tim, you can go and brush your shoulders off, nigga. I got you. Yeah. If you feeling like a pimp, nigga, go and brush your shoulders off. Ladies is pimps too, go and brush your shoulders off. Niggas is crazy, baby, don't forget that boy told you get that dirt up your shoulders. I probably owe it to y'all, probably be locked by the force. Trying to hustle some things that go with the pole. the bleachers, they screaming. All the ballers is bouncing. Like
Mills, let's go through our locks of the week. Locked up. For me, right off the bat here, I am going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the New York Giants.
I'm locked up, locked up.
Look, I know that the Giants have been in games and, Danny trips, Danny falls, Danny might score, who knows? But one thing I know, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to play a whole hell of a lot better than they did last week against the Washington football team. I feel pretty confident using them here, cracking a beer, and feeling good about advancing into week 12, which, by the way, spoiler alert, it's fucking rough. Mills, who's your lock this week?
Well, it's actually, again, compared to about where you're going to be looking at next week, this is like which prom queen you want to fuck. Next week, you're going to have to fuck the mop bucket and hope that just like it's got some lukewarm water in there or something. It's probably dirty, but that's as good as you're going to get. This week, like I said, you got your choice of the prom queens. I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans to win at home versus the Houston Texans.
I'm locked up, locked up.
Yeah, I mean, it's, again, I'm pretty much taking the best team in the AFC against the worst team in the AFC. It's not really rocket science. It just kind of works out that what week do you want to use the Titans, and the way it worked out, I felt better using them here, even though there are a couple of spots you can most definitely use them in the upcoming weeks.
Two pretty good locks there. We both feel good. Let's call Saul and roll in the Jeep here, dude. Let's go on to our deep picks of the week. Mills, for me, boy, oh boy, my deep this week, man. I know it's a division game, but I'm taking the Green Bay Packers over the Minnesota Vikings.
How deep is your love for me?
I think that the Green Bay Packers right now, the way their defense is playing, even with Aaron Rodgers getting acclimated back into the game here, I think this is just a team that's going to win some football games, dude. I don't know, man. I know this is a division game. I think Minnesota is better than what people give them credit for. I see Green Bay handling business here, and I don't think it's even that close, to be honest with you.
I like what you're putting down there. And again, the Packers are another team that you're going to struggle to find unless you want to take them out on the road at Chicago. You're going to have to wait a while for them to have another good matchup. So I feel, especially for contests getting down to a lot less entries left, it's a good time to, use it or lose it kind of with a pretty good team. Me, I'm going to, a little bit deeper here. So I'm going to take a team who is, surprised us. They've just surprised us in so many great and so many horrible ways this year. And I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals to win at home, coming off the bye against the Las Vegas Raiders.
How deep is your love for me?
I do just, I think that the Bengals are a better team. The Raiders, I think they had some momentum coming off the Gruden thing, and they rode that for a couple of weeks. And once that died out, they realized that they really do still have a weak offensive line. They're definitely, wide receiver went from like maybe a league average room to solidly below average. All defenses have to do is really focus on Waller. And their defense is fine, but they're not good enough to carry that kind of an offense. So Derek Carr is doing his best. It's not on him. I just think they're in trouble. And I think the Bengals had that bye week to regroup. They look around the NFC North. Nobody took advantage of them kind of falling. They have a shot to win that division. I think they're going to come out hot here, easily cover the spread, beat the Raiders.
Let's move on to our fades, who we're staying away from this week. My fade heading into week 11 is going to be the San Francisco 49ers, heading all the way over to the East Coast to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, this is my fade this week because, one, I don't know that San Francisco's that good. They're really banged up on the offensive line. They just figure out ways to lose games. And I don't necessarily like a West Coast team traveling all the way to the East. And Jacksonville has proven the last couple of weeks here that this team, for better or worse under Urban Meyer, they're scrappy. They're fighting. They're not just rolling over here. And so I just don't think that this is a good spot to take them, despite them being favored by 6 points or whatever it is. I think that if you're going to use San Francisco, well, you can make the case that they haven't won a home game in 3 years, but I don't like them here. Staying away, fading. Mills, who's your fade this week?
I mean, sometimes you black out and you have a good night, but you don't really know it. And then other times you brown out. And I'm going to brown out here. I'm going to fade the Cleveland Browns at home versus the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, me too. I browned out that evening.
Browned out? What's browned out?
Oh, it's when you drink so much that everything goes brown. It's not as severe as a blackout, because I remember bits and pieces. I like to call it browning out.
I think that Detroit might get it done here, man. And again, Cleveland banged up. It showed on the offensive line at the Patriots. They got mutilated. Baker's banged up. Nick Chubb should be back, but this is a team that's really struggling right now to do anything on offense that's not give it to their primary running back. So, yeah, I can see Detroit being galvanized by that, hard-fought tie in the, the sleet and the snow. And maybe, just maybe, they'll run the Wildcat the whole game, or they'll David Blau in there, bring Eli Manning. I don't know. Maybe Calvin Johnson come back, play quarterback. Maybe they do like the Water Boy, where the coach just knelt on the ball on offense and let the defense win it for him.
I wonder if we trust me. Go.
The Cougars lead 27-7 in the middle of the third quarter. And he takes a knee.
I don't like my new offense.
All right, it's 2nd and 12 as the Cougars line up on the ball.
What is
all these are better options than Jared Goff, and I still think that the Detroit Lions could win that game, and you should fade the Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland Browns to fade. I like it. That's our top locks, deeps, and fades right here on the Joe Blow Football Show, Survivor style. Mills, I think you want to talk a little shop talk, right?
Talking shop and chopping pots.
I think that's right.
Say that 3 times fast. I'll make you do it later after you had another beer. Anyways, if you don't know what that means, basically, if you're in a Survivor pool, all the money in it, that's called the pot. In almost all Survivor leagues, all of it goes to the last team standing, hence the name Survivor. Occasionally, I've seen some leagues do like 75% first, and all the second out people split up 25%, but most it's 100% to the top. But what will happen is when you get down to the end, say, 5% of the entries left, sometimes some people will be like, hey, you want to just split it up here? In that case, say, whatever, make it easy. There's $100 in the pot. There's 2 people left. One dude's like, hey, you each want to take $50, call it a day. You can do that. But that's personally, it's like buying a warranty at the store. I think it's an all or nothing thing. I am a no chop guy for the most part. I do think if you were, in some pool where you say $10 to get in and you could win $10,000 and you could walk away with, $2,500 or something like that off your $10, you might want to consider that. But for the most part, in most realistic pools, I'm not really a fan of chopping. I would never go make an offer. If somebody comes to you, what I would do is go look at all the entries that are left in the contest, see, what teams you have left, what teams the other entries have left. Don't do this for 25 entries. At that point, don't even worry about chopping. We're talking when there's usually about five or less entries, unless there's an obscene amount of money in the pot. See what teams are left and just try to get a feel for how you are positioned versus the other team. If you feel very good about your options, there's no way I'm chopping. If you've kind of basically burned all the best teams and you're going to be kind of white-knuckle at the rest of the way through, I would be more inclined to take a chop. And again, I'm not going in offering a chop really, but if someone offers it and, sometimes I'll be like, hey, give me an extra, 10% or something, I'll do it right now. And you would be surprised. Some people, they're not, they got in this because a friend had them do it. And they're not really the gambling type, and they're kind of like cash in hand. So every once in a while, you do that, you get a little bit extra out of them. Not wild about the chop, but if you're getting, more than half the pot, you generally are getting fairly good equity in the deal.
Absolutely. And when somebody, I know you're never one to go asking for the chop, because one, it can be perceived as a sign of weakness here. So strategy for sure. But sometimes owners will reach out. We've all been there. I've gotten offers before. If that happens, here's what we recommend you do, courtesy of your favorite peeps on the Joe Blow Football Show. One, do the planning Mills just talked about, right? Make sure you've looked at your schedule and then also who the other people have left, right? And see the remaining picks for them and you. Number two, and this is really, really important, don't be afraid to say no, right? If you like your pick this week and you feel pretty good and you think you're better positioned than they are or equally as positioned, go with it. Say no and leave the door open to a maybe next week. You never know, man. People get desperate. This is a week-to-week league. If you like where you're at, don't be afraid to say no. If the same owner tries to offer a split multiple weeks in a row, it's obvious they want to cash out. Use that shit to your advantage. Say something like, well, I don't really want to chop this, but if you give me 75% of the pot, I'd probably do it, right? Try to work him a little bit. It's called negotiation, people. If you want us to show you how to do that, we will do that for you, but you got to pay us. That's one thing we do charge for, showing you how to leverage and negotiate. Mills, I like this tactic. It's probably not going to fly if there's 4 or 10 entries left, but there's only 2 or 3 remaining. Sometimes owners would just take in the cash, especially if it's like you said, you put $50 in and it's $5,000 pot and there's 3 people left. Shit, they might be willing to just take anything instead of risking it all to try to win one more week. So that's what we do when we shop talk, pot chop, talking shop and chopping pots.
Thank you. We like talking shop and chopping pots with y'all.
Mills, before we get out of here, I guess, we teased it. You just saw a vein and maybe the helmet here, but week 12 look ahead is it's brutal, right? Like this is I don't even know if you call this a shit show. This is more of like a fuck show, fuck shop show. Like this is.
Cue the 2 Live crew.
Welcome to the fuck shop.
Welcome to the fuck shop. This is nuts. Here are our biggest projected favorites. Let's just look at these as right now, as we head into week 11, the best options for week 12. 1, Chicago at Detroit. Can't you just see, wouldn't it just be so fitting for Dan Campbell and the Lions to get their first win at home on Thanksgiving? I don't know about you, but I don't feel great about that one, right? And the other ones, I'll get the next one. I'll let you do the night game. On Thanksgiving, you've got Dallas versus Vegas. I feel good about Dallas here at week 10. That's probably the best pick, just the way Vegas has been raveling here. And they've been kind of coming undone a little bit. Right now, they just do not have the ability to stretch the field. So teams are just clamping down on Waller and their offense just isn't moving like it should. So I feel pretty good about Dallas. Mills, that nighttime game here on Thanksgiving's one that's interesting too.
Yeah, when the Bills travel to face the Saints earlier in the year, I would have said this is a game where the Saints could potentially be favored by maybe a half a point to a point or something like that. I'm expecting this is, as of right now, assuming everyone's basically as healthy as they are, and the Saints either win by a little or lose by a little to the Eagles, and the Bills take care of business against the Colts. I'd expect the Bills to probably 5.5 point favorites, something like that in New Orleans. And I expect that to be, they'll be a bigger favorite than Dallas will at home against the Raiders. And it might be one of those things because there's so many bad options. If you're the only team that has the Bills left, you could take your chance there and just be like, I want to bet on, the best team really in theory. I believe the other one is, by that same concept, I'll roll right into it, is the Bucks, who are traveling to the Colts. We just saw them lose to the football team. But on the other hand, when you have a bunch of shit matchups, I would rather almost just take the best team I have available, just unless they're obviously playing one of the other best teams you have, or just best teams of football, than just try to guess who's going to win the matchup of 2 shitty teams. Because when 2 shitty teams play, anything could fucking happen.
Yeah, it's a shit fuck shop. Mills, the last one here for me is Baltimore versus Cleveland. Look, man, we just got done talking about how we're not feeling so great about Baltimore. Cleveland's an absolute mess. This is a division game. This one just, I don't know about you, but right now this does absolutely zero to get it up for me. Like, I'm not even remotely interested in this. Like, I'm poking it with a stick, like, do something. Like, this is just not anything I'm interested in. So tough. tough week in week 12.
Yeah, I can't believe that I'm already just basically like going to bet it all on Jerry World. But I think Jerry to win this Thanksgiving game, he'll do whatever it takes. Like he'll be down there shooting those dudes up with the cream and the clear out, like they don't even know it. Like he'll do whatever it takes, like like doping a horse to win the Derby. Jerry's not losing Thanksgiving, not at home in Jerry World under the big lights while everyone's eating. Fuck no.
I mean, but there's just I agree, dude. But there's just so many games like Falcons versus the Jags. Like there's no like Jets versus the Texans. Like, how do you pick that, dude? You might as well flip a fucking coin.
Yes, you coin. Yeah, because then if you lose, you can blame the coin, and that it's not super scientific, but you will feel like 80% better if you lose, if you can blame it on somebody, and you don't want to blame it on your wife or blame it on the coin. You can just berate the coin. You can just, you can scream at it as much as you want. The coin can take it.
If only we could get Frank Reynolds here to flip the coin for us, that would be, and then just put it right on his head to tell us the winner. That would give me a little bit of good feeling with some of these teams.
Yeah, Danny DeVito will probably do it for like 400 on Cameo or something.
Maybe we can get him to do it. We'll look into that. Guys, if you've made it this far, the number one thing you need to do with your life, and I'm talking more important than anything else, your families, your children, your God, doesn't matter. Like and subscribe. That's what you need to do right now. Mills, hit them with our social media info.
The easiest way to find all our video stuff, just go to joeblowfootballshow.com. Take you right to our YouTube page. Easy peasy. Just hit that like button. Even leave us a comment or something. We like hearing what you think, even if it's what we did wrong, because we're only going to be able to improve if you tell us what we do wrong. But we do like you being nice too. You can find us on social media at Joe Blow Show on Twitter and Instagram. You can find our Survivor content, fantasy content, wagering specific content at Seize the Gap FF, also on Twitter and Instagram. And we occasionally live stream on Twitch at Joe Blow Football Show.
And if you don't know, now you know. We'll be back with more Joe Blow Football Show. For the love of God, have a plan, get lucky, and survive.
Stop being so goddamn inefficient while you're at it.
Get a mink, baby girl, let's ride. You the number one stunner. We gon' glide and go straight to the mall and tear down the inside. You that Prada, Gucci, full length leather, Burberry's cooler, Coogee sweater, 20 inches pop my feather.
You said what?
A little pot chops, talking shop, chopping pots, a little shop talk.
I fly anywhere, the alligator seats with the head in the inside. Swine on the dash, G-Wagon, so fly. Number one, don't tangle and twist it. When it comes to these cars, I am that nigga.
Welcome to the...
There's only one place where you can go where the price is right just to fuck a hoe.
Dude.
Welcome to the fuck shop.
Three-wheel ride with the tie in the middle. It's fresh and stunner, and we like brothers. We shine like paint, daddy. It's our summer. Get up, with a bitch out Jesus. Ain't got no job, but I stay shy. Can't pay my rent, 'cause all my money's spent. But that's okay, 'cause I'm still fly.
I'm so fucking focused.